What's going on, everyone? So, the Lakers have two centers that they are, exploring the possibility of adding on in Utah's Walker Kessler and the Orlando Magic in Wendell Carter Jr. Both these guys I would love to have on the Lakers. Both these guys make a ton of sense. I wouldn't even hate if the Lakers traded for both of them because Wendell Carter is more than capable of playing the four. But more like that, you're only going to get one of them. And I want to kind of go over the verses, right? The pros and cons of both, which guy I prefer, which guy, again, I would gladly take either of them. So it's like, choosing, which soda is better or whatever. When you just want a soda, it's like, just give me one. I don't care, right? So anyway, let's get into the kind of pros and cons. But generally, between these two, they're both very young, which is good, right? You have Wendell Carter Jr., who is 25, and again, plenty of growth, plenty of upside, fits the Lakers now and future timeline, but so does Walker Kessler, right? Walker Kessler, though, is younger. He's 22. He also provides the same level of potential and upside, but even further. And right, in the NBA, I have people ask all the time, like, why does 2 years, 3 years matter? It matters a lot in a league where you are incredibly blessed to have a 15 to 20 year career. There are very few players in the history that do that, right? The average length of a career, I think, is like 2.5 years. So yes, that 2 to 3 year window is massive. It's also the difference between you being a role player to a star or a star to a superstar, right? That switch flips and it flips quick. And if you have more time to kind of get to that level, right, the better opportunity you have at surpassing it, right? So on the surface, when you look at both these guys fit the need at the center position. So there isn't one of these like, oh, well, this guy's that and this guy's that. But one guy is significantly bigger than the other, right? Wendell Carter Jr., he's only 6'10", 6'11" will be nice, where Walker Kessler is a lock, 7 foot, 7'1" type guy. He's bigger body, right? So he's a guy that would make more sense in the sense of like baiting with the big boys, the Jokic's, the Embiid's of the world, where Wendell Carter, yes, he's capable of doing so. However, he's not this like, 6 or 7'1", 300-pound guy that just bully ball. And you got to think in the West, right? You got Jokic 4 times. You got Zach Edey now 4 times. Right? You got several just kind of big, bulky centers that you're going to have to go against where you want as much kind of resistance as possible. So you look at like a Walker Kessler, he just gives you the bigger body. Now, as far as like impact guys, right? I think that either of them can immediately make an impact now, right? I do think Wendell Carter is a little more versatile right now because his ability, one, he's also played more, but his ability to be more consistent, knocking down the 3 ball, play the 4, play the 5, switch out on the perimeter better defensively, right? I think he's a little more versatile in the short term. Where Walker Kessler, he's a guy that is solely a 5. You're not really slotting him over to the 4 unless, you have a guy that can really stretch the floor. But at that point, you're probably just sliding that guy to the 4. So Kessler's kind of dimensional in the sense of like, hey, I need to be at the center. Now, he's not as good defending out on the perimeter and in the pick and roll as Wendell Carter is, but he's also the better rim protector, Walker Kessler that is, and better at just, again, being that deterrent. So there is that pros and cons. But I also think Walker Kessler's potential and upside for that versatility is better. Now, not in the sense of, again, playing multiple positions, and necessarily defending multiple positions, but in the sense of you can put him in different actions. Walker Kessler has shown the ability to step out. Now, he's not Wendell Carter. Wendell Carter is like 37, 38% from 3 on like 3 to 4 attempts per game. He's shown that, like, hey, he can knock it down with some regularity. Walker Kessler's just kind of here and there, but he has shown enough that, like, hey, when he does shoot it, he can knock it down. He's capable of that. So with the proper development and growth, he is a guy that I do think can spread the floor, down the road. It's not somebody that I'd run sets to get him wide open 3s regularly, where a Wendell Carter Jr., I do believe you could do that for. Now, again, Walker Kessler, he is the better playmaker out of the post. He actually has very good vision in that regard. I actually think that it's something that people don't talk about enough. Now, he's not like Jokic level in the sense where he can, basically run your entire offense and be a point center, but he is a guy that has shown like, hey, he can get the ball, create and suck in the double team and kick out to the open man or the occasional cutter. That's good and that's value to have where you can play this inside out game and kind of give you that stability on the block. I also think Walker Kessler is a guy that has a little more versatility on the offensive side where I think the Wendell Carter gives you that just essential, like he can hold his own 1 through 5. Right? You don't really want him on quicker, twitchier, athletic guys, but he is a guy that I do think, if he got switched, can hold his own and stay out on the perimeter. I also think Walker Kessler is the better rebounder, but he's also bigger, so it's easier. And I'm not saying Wendell Carter Jr. is just some schmuck when it comes to rebounding, but you look at their comparables and Kessler is better. Again, bigger size, bigger wingspan, bigger things like that. It makes it easier for him to gobble up. Where also Wendell Carter Jr., he's kind of more out at times, particularly with the Orlando Magic because of his ability to spread the floor. So I do think that there are pros and cons in that front. Personally, obviously it matters what is the cost, right? If you could get Wendell Carter Jr. for, say, 4 seconds, right? Think of like a Rui-esque trade when we traded for Rui Hachimura. Say you get Wendell Carter for, 4 seconds, but the Utah Jazz are holding firm on 2 firsts, then I think you go with Wendell Carter Jr. Or even 1 first compared to 2, I think you go with Wendell Carter Jr. But if both are essentially the same, or even, let's say, Walker Kessler is just slightly more, right? Let's say both are a first, right? But you could get Wendell Carter for a top 10 protected. But you have to get Walker Kessler, has to be top 5 protected, right? I would still go with Walker Kessler. Just because, again, I think his age, his upside potential, and again, it's not saying Wendell Carter Jr. doesn't have upside. He's still only 25 years old. Still plenty of room to grow, but I just think that Walker Kessler just gives you more of what you need. I think slotted alongside Anthony Davis, I think that rim protection would be brutal. But I do like the idea of Carter and Anthony Davis and their versatility, basically, again, defending basically the entire court, right? So I do think currently Wendell Carter Jr., you could put in more actions and give him more opportunity compared to even what he's getting in Orlando, right? Where Walker Kessler, I think you're kind of limited momentarily, but that limit isn't bad. It's not Jackson Hayes is very limited right now, but it's a bad limitation. It's he's not very disciplined. He's kind of just a high energy guy, just mostly giving him lobs. No, Walker Kessler is limited in the sense of he's basically just a big booty down on the block that you're dumping the ball down to and kind of running plays through him. Maybe from time to time he could step out and knock down the 3 ball, but more times than not, you're kind of just keeping him in the box, right? So where Wendell Carter, I think you can kind of keep him in the box, but you can also move him all over and outside and move him into different areas. So I just think Wendell Carter gives you more potential as far as it goes for the moment, but Walker Kessler gives you more long term, which, again, Lakers are in a position where they want more now and the future, right? They're thinking about now, but they also want those pieces for the future, where I think, Walker Kessler is the guy that could be your piece for now and even post Anthony Davis, right? Where, Wendell Carter, if Anthony Davis was gone today, would you rather have Wendell Carter or would you rather have Walker Kessler? Let's say LeBron and Anthony Davis get back to Team USA and they just go, hey, you know what? We got our gold medal. We're good. Got a ring, got a medal, calling it a career, right? And then you had to pick one of them. Who would you rather have? I'd rather have Walker Kessler personally, which is, again, it's not a situation to where it's but Walker Kessler's so raw, right? It's you don't really have this upside and potential, right? Where it's something like Castleton or Hayes, which would you rather? That I think is kind of more you need more detail. You need more. Where I think Kessler and Carter are two guys that you can kind of look at and go, okay, yeah, like Kessler's the guy that I'd want for kind of the long haul, but he also could have a big impact now with the young core. That's kind of what I am looking at with that regard. But ultimately, I think it boils down to just like, what is the cost, right? The other big factor to me would be which team is willing to help us in other areas, right? And may even arguably be the biggest factor. Because, so for example, right, Lakers need to clear some roster spots. Lakers need to clear some salary, right? Both guys are very cheap. Wendell Carter Jr. is just a hair under $12 million right now. He also drops $1 million next year, which is good, because that could be the difference between you potentially using an exception, you being in one of the aprons, right? Like that extra $1 million drop is very significant. So he drops. Walker Kessler is just dirt cheap, right? So like you're good in that regard. So there is that flexibility there. And there is an argument that Kessler, just given his price as far as contract-wise goes, is the better option, right? So, but to me, it's like, which team will help us get more flexibility, right? Like, for example, let's say D'Lo. Orlando, we know that they want D'Angelo Russell. So they might value D'Lo to an extent to where it's like, oh, he's a valuable piece for us rather than a negative contract or negative input. Where Utah, they don't really have a need for D'Lo, so they might look at it as like, all D'Lo is for us is just a salary dump. Right? He just clears salary off of our books. But you would get and clear other space beyond that. So, for example, again, let's use Walker Kessler first. You'd clear, if you swap D'Lo with Walker Kessler, you'd clear like $12 million. Right? So now you could use your exceptions. You have a trade exception, right? You have this flexibility now that you don't currently have. So it's not like you're just swapping Walker Kessler for D'Angelo Russell. No, you're swapping D'Angelo Russell for Walker Kessler and whatever that piece is, right? Same thing with Orlando, right? Orlando, you'd only be able to clear $6 million, but still, that's the difference between you freeing up the taxpayer mid-level or not. So again, now it becomes this circumstance where it's like, okay, well now, yes, you're trading D'Lo for Wendell Carter Jr., but you're not just doing a one-for-one swap. You're trading D'Lo for Wendell Carter Jr. and another piece, Gary Trent Jr., Spencer Dinwiddie, these guys like that. So to me, it boils down to not only the cost and the price, because I do think both have the impact for the Lakers that the Lakers are looking for at the center position. I don't think either is going to come in and be like, I have to start, right? Or, I don't think the other guy's going to be like a locker room issue or anything like that. So they're both very comparable in different ways. I just think that Walker Kessler gives you more upside. He's bigger and I think has a little more intangibles as far as that low post guy, where I think Wendell Carter Jr., he's the guy that has more versatility, particularly on the defensive side. But if you have Anthony Davis and you have, if you are able to go and trade for Jeremy Grant, now you don't really have as big of a need in that regard. You'd kind of like the rim protection. So I do think that there are pros and cons to wait for both. So to me, it kind of boils down to which team is willing to give you more of what you're looking for and the best offer. That's the direction I'd go. But personally, for now, given the information we have, Walker Kessler, I would prefer over Wendell Carter Jr., right? So if they're both the same, let's say same value, both cost you a first, which guy are you taking? I would rather have Walker Kessler over Wendell Carter Jr. But do you feel the same way? Do you think like, yes, Walker Kessler is the answer over Wendell Carter? Do you think, no, Wendell Carter is clearly the answer over? I'd love to hear explanations, though, too. Don't just be like, oh, no, Wendell Carter. Like, why? I'd love to hear kind of your analysis and your breakdown and your opinion on as to why. Because, again, at the end of the day, that's all this is just my opinion. And, as always, I pass a question on to you. So let me know down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Which of these guys would you want? Is there, like, that make or break for you? Like I said, like, cost to value, what else that they can provide, what else they could offer? In a perfect world, it's like if you get Jalen Suggs and Wendell Carter Jr., then here, take my wallet type thing. but I don't know how realistic that is. But anyway, again, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.